A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you an RPG review today. This was the second Kickstarter for Grim Hollow. It actually arrived a few weeks ago, but I am pretty lazy on vacation, and I'm just getting around to kind of showing you what this is. So this was for the Monster Grimoire, which all great role-playing games have that. You know, Dungeons & Dragons has the Monster Manual, and Call of Cthulhu has the books of creatures and whatnot. And it's no different for Grim Hollow. The production values on this thing are just phenomenal. So let's open this box. This is a really heavy box, by the way. And we'll see what comes inside. The first thing we have is Lairs of Etheris map pack. So basically, I'm not going to open this, but these are just maps. If you're using miniatures in your tabletop role-playing game, these maps just kind of help add flavor to that. Okay. We get these little pins, which is kind of cool. Poster, I believe. Yep, put that to one side. We get some stickers. Okay, now we get to the good stuff. Lairs of Etheris. Now, back in the day, one of the first Kickstarters I ever backed was the Tome of Beasts. It was a bunch of new monsters for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. An absolute huge book, but it came with a book of lairs, which are basically just adventures that you can run that highlight some of the creatures. Now, first of all, look at the art in this book. We have a nice map, which these all correspond with the maps from the Book of Lairs. Oh, sorry, the Lairs map pack. So we have like the Bone House, Farron's Rest, the Leather Hollow. And these are all just like little adventures. You can run them as a one-shot, or you can put them into an existing campaign. I absolutely love when content creators do this kind of stuff, because 9 times out of 10, these lairs are just phenomenal. The one that came with the Tome of Beasts, I believe it was called, the adventures were just so imaginative. It's just wonderful. It just adds so much, and it makes the Dungeon Master's job, you know, that much easier. So we got this. It's got some great maps. Campaign guide, player's guide. I've already done my reviews on those. And the Monstrous Grimoire comes at the back here. An absolutely worthwhile book for anybody wanting to run a Grim Hollow campaign. I cannot speak highly enough about the Book of Lairs. But let's go to the main reason why I backed the campaign. And that is the Monster Grimoire. Let's just kind of zoom in a little bit more. Okay, look at the cover art. The cover art in and of itself is an absolute delight to look at. Now, for those of you that don't know what these sorts of books are, or even what Grim Hollow is dark fantasy adapted for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons rules. It's really that simple. Now, the Monster Grimoire basically you're going to get new monsters to put into your Grim Hollow campaign, or really any campaign that you want. You don't have to keep it to the Grim Hollow campaign. That's the beauty part of tabletop role-playing. Now, the monsters have a picture, a stat block, and some text. We have a map there. Okay, that's terrifying. So it tells you kind of what to do, how to use it, and then we have the first monster, the Aberrant Horror. So we get the description, we get the stat block. I'm just going to flick through this very quickly. I just want you to see the art on some of these monsters. The only complaint I have is that the font used for the name of the monster sometimes is a little difficult to read. That's on me. That's not on the designers. That's fully on me. Okay, there's some really grotesque creatures here. Beast blights. The Great Beast. I mean, look at the art. They went to... Like, they spared no expense with this book, and it really shows. This is one of the best horror monster guides that I have seen in all the time I've been playing and collecting tabletop role-playing games, and that goes back to 1991. Although I did have the Dungeons & Dragons basic set, like the red box set when I was a kid. But, yeah, it wasn't until I got into my high school gaming group with a few guys who are probably not watching this video. But if you do, you guys know who you are. We did Dungeons & Dragons for how many years together? Dabbled a bit in Shadowrun. And then... after university, my good friend Ian Van Gamet and some mates, we'd meet pretty much every Saturday night, get fucking wasted, and just play a Dungeons & Dragons campaign. So I've been playing tabletop role-playing games for a long time, and this is one of the best, most inventive monster manuals I've seen. There was one creature that really caught my eye. I mean, that's just disturbing. Champions of Filth. Like, these are just the sign of a good monster manual or monster tome. I keep calling it monster manual. That's just because that's what Dungeons and Dragons uses. That's what I'm most familiar with. Is if you can read any of the flavor text or even look at the creature or look at the stat block, and as a dungeon master, just start to imagine, how could I introduce this creature? Where could this creature go in the campaign? What could I do? Could I base an entire adventure around having one of these creatures as the main bad guy? That's the sign of a good monster manual. I remember back in the day, Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, the monster manuals used to be binders with the pages were like, you'd fit the pages in the binder. And I remember the Forgotten Realms monster manual there had a creature called a Wemmick, which was basically a centaur, but instead of the body of a horse, it had the body of a lion. I so desperately wanted to include that somewhere in Demon Oak. Somewhere in a game. There was some great... The Swan May was another great 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, look, it's my grandmother. But these monsters in here, they're horrific, sure, but the authors have done so much to trigger the imagination of the dungeon masters with like little plot points and things like that. So I'm just going to quickly flick through to what I think is one of the best creatures in here, although that's pretty freaking disgusting. Knowles, okay. Grim Piper. I mean, the art, you can't tell me the art doesn't just make you want to start a Grim Hollow campaign, like right now. All right, let me just find what I was looking at this morning. Let me see. Could be around here. Neshi, Widow. Here we go. Here we go. The Lich Troll. Now, for those of you that don't know what a Lich is an undead wizard, possibly sorcerer, who, to gain immortality, has put their soul into what they call a phylactery. And so if they die, they will be reborn near the phylactery. They usually hide it. They're basically immortal unless someone can destroy that phylactery, and then that kills them. The Lich Troll is a lich that thought, well, trolls are really strong. If I put my soul into the body of a troll, then that will help me live forever. And it didn't fucking work. Lich Trolls are awesome. Like, I just can't even describe how freaking cool that sounded. And look at the art there. The art is phenomenal. You got Lich Troll, Zombie Troll. Oh, it's just an absolutely fantastic book. Of course, you got vampires, you got werewolves, lycanthropes, all kinds of just disgustingly weird, dark horror, grim fantasy type monsters that, I don't know. To me, this book is just phenomenal. Even if you don't play Grim Hollow, but you've got a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons campaign, pick it up. You will not be disappointed at all. Wandering Head, are you kidding me? Weeping Zombie, Wretched. So then, after you get through all the creatures, you have a chapter on vampires and how to basically make each vampire unique, vampire stat blocks. Vampires, in my opinion, are one of the most underused creatures as main villains in fantasy role-playing game. The one that springs to mind is Strahd von Zarovich from Ravenloft. If you don't know who Strahd von Zarovich is, I highly suggest you either pick up Curse of Strahd, the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign, or just go and read the book I, Strahd, Memoirs of a Vampire. It's amazing. He's one of the most well-rounded vampiric characters ever written. Right up there with Dracula, in my personal opinion. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. So then we have Bugbear Vampire, Downcast Vampire, Dragonborn Vampire, Dreamer Vampire, Dwarf Vampire, Elf Vampire, Gnome Vampire, Halfling Vampire, Laneshi Vampire, Ogresh Vampire. So all of the kind of playable races, aside from human, because whatever, they kind of give you information on how to turn one of those playable races into a vampire villain. Really cool. And then we have Mastery Intelligent Monsters. Now, this is something that I actually have trouble with as a dungeon master or as a keeper for my Call of Cthulhu campaign that I'm running, is making my intelligent creatures or intelligent enemies an actual threat. My players many sessions ago, like this was midway through last year, were in the town of Dunwich, and they were lured into a house that was basically a giant puzzle, and at the end of it, they had to fight a Civil War soldier, like an immortal, semi-immortal Civil War soldier who was working for this like fungus god or whatever. And they had been manipulated the entire time, and then it got to the end, and I thought, this guy is going to give them a run for their money. No, he was a fucking cakewalk because I didn't play him correctly. And that's on me. That's not on my players. My players were fantastic in that game. Still are, by the way. But, yeah, I had a trouble with mastering intelligent monsters. Well, reading this, it has helped a lot. So it just shows you kind of what you should do. Magic items. Some new magic items, always good. Monsters as PCs, so kind of how to play some of the creatures. And then some concept art. One of the best source books I have ever seen in a role-playing game. I absolutely adore this book. The Book of Lairs is great. I'm probably not going to use the map pack. I do most of my games over Zoom. So, like the physical thing, not really all that helpful to me. But I know there are a lot of people that meet as a group and kind of play. And the map pack is going to be invaluable to them. So, there you have it. Grim Hollow, the Monster Grimoire. Once again, I have 3 Grim Hollow books, the campaign guide, the player's guide, Monster Grimoire, and every single one of them is a fucking A+ in my opinion. Absolutely love the setting, absolutely love the production values. A must buy if you want to introduce grimdark fantasy into your own fantasy campaigns. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, do all the other cool stuff at the end. Follow, click the little bell for notifications. And most importantly, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video.